Ayato is one of those characters that just works. He's just simple and yet effective. Ever since I got him, I've been constantly using him non-stop in the Abyss. He is my second favorite main DPS in all of Genshin, and I'll try my best to convince anyone watching to at least consider pulling for him. Before we start, I just want to remind everyone to sub and like if they enjoyed. It would really mean a lot. I'm trying to reach 2K subs soon. Thanks. I greatly appreciate it. Is Ayato worth your Primo Gems? Why should you go for him instead of Raiden, Alhaitham, or any future characters? It's going to be a tough question to answer, but I'll try my damn best. His kit is relatively simple and easy to use compared to Child, another on-field Hydro applicator. Ayato's skill will turn his normal attacks into Hydro and rapidly slash in a wide area, and these hitboxes are really huge, so hitting multiple targets or a single target in the air will be very easy to manage. On top of this, the widespread damage and Hydro application, the best part about using his skill is that fact that he lunges towards enemies and has high resistance to interruption to make sure it connects. That is just super convenient because it just makes him feel so satisfying and easy to use. His burst is relatively similar to Ganyu, except it's Hydro, obviously, but instead of being used for massive AoE damage, it's used to help with Hydro application and Ayato's personal damage. On top of all of this, one of his Ascension passes will help with the uptime by regenerating energy while Ayato is off-field. This is just super convenient because it just makes him less energy hungry and will essentially cut his burst cost in half. He does have HP scaling in his kit, which will increase his normal attack damage. However, I've done a bit of testing when he first came out, and can confidently say that there's no need to build HP for him. It's always better to just run the standard attack, damage percent, and crit stats for his artifact. Outside of that, his kit is really easy to use, his cooldowns are easy to manage, and his rotations are often forgiving. Now, to answer the main question, why should you go for Ayato over anyone else? I have a few answers for that. And my first answer to that is his team options are very flexible. Hydro is one of the best elements in the game, and that's mainly because it offers so many good reactions. And with Dendro being added to the game, the options for more teams only increased. The best part about his flexibility is that Ayato works well in pretty much any team I can imagine. His fast-paced damage fits really well into the quick swap meta because he really doesn't need to stay on field that much to do whatever he needs to do. You only need to cast his burst and use his skill for a few seconds to enable literally any team comp you would like. His own personal damage is pretty good as well. It may not be the best compared to Raiden, Ayaka, Xiao, Hu Tao, but it's certainly not negligible, right? And because he is Hydro, his own damage isn't the main focus. He's the one allowing for such high damaging reactions to occur in rapid succession. Ayato works well in Vaporize, Taser, Freeze, Hyper Carry, Mono Hydro, Bloom, Hyper Bloom, and even Burgeon. Not many teams can enable Burgeon, or not many single characters can do that. He may not be the best option depending on what you have, but he's almost always going to get the job done and perform it well. I'd argue that he's more flexible than most DPS characters in the game, if not all, and because he just flows so well with the quick swap team, he has pretty high value for any account that decides to pull for him, because there are just so many team builds that would like a Hydro enabler. Does that make him more valuable than Raiden, the character that he's going to be rerun with? No, I don't think so at all. Raiden is just broken and she's on her own level. But in terms of flexibility and team options, I'd say yeah, that would make him more valuable in this case. So if you value flexibility like myself, I'd say Ayato is worth pulling for. The next reason why you should go for him is because of how easy he is to build. He has so many options for artifact sets that you probably already have one lying around. He has Gladiators, Heart of Depth, Shimenawas if you only care about his skill damage, and yes, even the Echo set, and I'm not a really big fan of it typically, but it's an option for Ayato because he's normally the reaction enabler, but it is very resin inefficient and it's inconsistent, and I would normally recommend literally any other set over it. And on top of that, he also has a handful of free-to-play weapon options, so that makes him very free-to-play friendly, I'd say. You might be wondering why you should pull for Ayato if you already have any other Hydro character in your roster. My answer to that is he's capable of both on and off-field Hydro application in a large area. There are very few characters that are capable of doing that, and although he may not be the best at either, he's still very good at it. Think of Yelan for example. We're gonna go through most 5-star Hydro characters. Yelan is very good. I'd say she has more value than Ayato from a meta standpoint, but her Hydro application is more focused towards a single target, right? And she's better off being run in double Hydro team with Xingqiu because they just complement each other so well. I'm not saying that she's bad outside of double Hydro because that's just simply not true at all. I'm just saying that she excels at double Hydro, right? Kokomi gives consistent healing and off-field Hydro application in a wide area, but even though she is capable of doing decent damage, that's not really the main purpose of why you're using her. I'd say she's better off supporting the team instead of being built for damage, right? Because that's what makes her so good in my opinion. Child, the one who is often compared to Ayato, he technically doesn't have as much Hydro application off-field as Ayato does, but Ayato is most definitely easier to use for most people because of the cooldowns and such. Ayato is not a character who excels at everything he's supposed to do compared to everyone else I just mentioned, but he's great at everything he's meant for, right? That's what makes him so much more valuable in my opinion, because he's just generally very good at everything he's supposed to do. And although I wouldn't say the previous characters I mentioned aren't good at that either, I'd say Ayato is, in general, is just very flexible compared to everyone else. Thanks for watching, everyone. Remember to sub and like if you enjoyed. Hope the channel reach 2K subs soon. I would greatly appreciate it. I hope this was useful to someone that was having trouble to pull for Ayato or not. Have a good night and day wherever you're at, and I'll see you all next time. Peace, and take care.